So let's say we want to evaluate functions. We want to know first off, where does the function equal 128 and what does the function equal when we plug in -3? And we're going to show this with a couple different functions. So the first function we're going to give is a linear function, which how this ties together with the section we're on, linear functions are similar to arithmetic sequences. They're adding the same number on every time to get to the next slot. So if I want to say where does this function equal 128, I'm going to set this equal to 128. So 2x minus 8 equals 128. Adding 8 to both sides, we get 2x equals 136. So 128 divided by 2, or excuse me, 136 divided by 2 gives us an x equal to 68. So when we want to know what x value equals 128 for this function f of x, it's 68. On the other hand, if I want to know what is this when you plug in -3, because notice where we've got the -3 in for that x, so we plug it in for the x. So 2 times -3 minus 8 is -6 minus 8, which is -14. So this one is equal to -14 when we plug in -3. Let's keep the same two conditions but with a different f of x. So in this case, let's say f of x equals 4x minus 8. First, setting it equal to 128, we say 4x minus 8 equals 128. Add 8, add 8. So 4x equals 136. 136 divided by 4 in this case, x equals 34. So just like in the last one, let's say we want to find what f of -3 is. Well, that means we plug in -3 where that x is. So we get -12 minus 8, which equals -20. So this is plugging it into linear functions. Now let's say I plug it into an exponential. An exponential is similar to a geometric sequence. So let's say 4 to the x times 2. First, setting this equal to 128, we want to know what value of x gives us that. We'd first divide by the number that doesn't have the x as a power. So we'd say 4 to the x power equals 128 divided by 2 is 64. So here's now a trick. We want to say, how do we rewrite this that's 4 to some power? Well, 64 is the same thing as 4 to the third. Once you get these two bases to match, x equals 3. On the other hand, if we want to know what is this when we plug in -3 for the x, well, something to remember, when we plug in a negative exponent, it's the same thing as taking it to the denominator. So another way to write this is 2 over 4 to the third power. Well, we know that 4 to the third is 64. And 2 over 64 is the same thing as 1 over 32, if we reduce the fraction. One last exponential. If we say f of x equals 2 to the x power. Well, 2 to the x is equal to 128. So we need to ask ourselves, what way can we write the 128 so it has a 2 as a base? It actually happens to be 2 to the 7th power. Since the bases match, x equals 7. Plugging in -3 for x on the other hand, so to make this power positive, we take this to the denominator. You can think about this as this over 1. So to flip it to make that power positive, we'd say 1 over 2 to the third. Well, 2 to the third is 8. So that's the same thing as 1/8. So given functions, if we want to find where something's equal to a function, we set the function equal to it. If the number's inside, it's for the x value. That means it goes into the function. And we find out what is the function when you plug that number in.